My husband filed for divorce while I'm 8 months pregnant because his ex-fiancée from 10 years ago got a terminal diagnosis and he said I owe her closure and need to be there for her final months, but when I found out what he's really been doing with her, I decided to give him exactly what he asked for, a life without me in it. I never thought I'd be writing this while sitting in a hospital room, 38 weeks pregnant and alone, but here I am. My name is Anna, I'm 29, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had the perfect marriage. My husband Michael and I have been together for 6 years, married for 4, and we were excitedly preparing for the birth of our first child. Everything changed when his ex-fiancée Rachel contacted him with news that would destroy our family. Let me give you some background about Rachel. She and Michael were engaged about 10 years ago, when they were both in their early 20s. From what Michael told me, they had been together for 3 years and were planning their wedding when Rachel suddenly broke things off. She said she wasn't ready for marriage and needed to find herself through travel and new experiences. Michael was devastated at the time, but he eventually moved on, went to graduate school, and that's where we met 5 years later. Michael has always been honest about his past with Rachel, and I never felt threatened by their history. It was clearly over, and she had moved across the country years ago. We occasionally saw her posts on social media. She seemed to be living an adventurous life, working as a travel blogger and never settling down anywhere for long. Michael rarely mentioned her, and when he did, it was always in the context of being grateful that things worked out the way they did because it led him to me. 3 weeks ago, everything changed when Rachel reached out to Michael through email. She told him that she had been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer and had been given 6 to 12 months to live. She said that she had been thinking about her life and the people who mattered to her, and she wanted to reconnect with Michael to get closure on their relationship before she died. When Michael showed me the email, my heart went out to Rachel. Cancer is devastating, especially at such a young age, and I couldn't imagine facing something like that. I told Michael that of course he should respond and offer his support. I thought maybe he'd send a kind email back, perhaps arrange a phone call to catch up and offer his condolences about her diagnosis. But that's not what happened. Instead, Michael became completely consumed with Rachel's situation. He started spending hours on the phone with her every day, talking about her treatment options, her fears about dying, and their shared memories from years ago. He began researching her type of cancer obsessively, looking up experimental treatments and specialists she might consult with. At first, I tried to be understanding. I told myself that this was a compassionate response to someone he had once cared about facing their mortality. But as the days went on, Michael's behavior became more concerning. He was distracted during conversations with me, always checking his phone for messages from Rachel. He started missing our childbirth preparation classes and doctor's appointments because he was helping Rachel with something important. 2 weeks ago, Michael told me that Rachel had asked him to visit her. She was living in California, about a 6-hour flight from us, and she wanted to see him in person before her condition worsened. She said she needed to apologize for how she had ended their engagement, and wanted to explain her feelings from back then. "I think I need to go," Michael said during dinner one night. "She's dying, Anna. This might be my only chance to get closure on that part of my life." I was taken aback. "Closure? Michael, that was 10 years ago. You've moved on. We're married and about to have a baby." "I know, but there are things that were never resolved between us. Questions that were never answered. If I don't go now, I'll always wonder." "What kind of questions could be so important that you need to travel across the country when your wife is 8 months pregnant?" Michael got defensive. "It's not about importance. It's about compassion. Rachel is facing the end of her life, and she's reaching out to people who were significant to her. I owe her this." "You don't owe her anything, Michael. You have a family now. Your responsibilities are here." "My responsibilities are to be a decent human being. Rachel needs support right now, and I'm in a position to provide it." We argued about it for hours, but Michael had already made up his mind. He booked a flight for the following weekend and took 3 days off work. He assured me that it would just be one visit, that he would get the closure Rachel needed, and then he could focus completely on our growing family. The weekend he was gone was difficult for me. I was dealing with all the discomforts of late pregnancy, back pain, trouble sleeping, constant bathroom trips, and I felt abandoned. Michael called me once each day, but the conversations were brief and felt obligatory. He seemed distracted and emotionally distant. When he came back, Michael was different. He was quieter than usual, often lost in thought. When I asked him how the visit went, he gave vague answers about Rachel's condition, and how glad he was that they had been able to talk through old issues. "So you got your closure?" I asked. "It's complicated," he said. "Rachel is in a really dark place emotionally. The cancer is progressing faster than expected, and she's struggling with depression and anxiety about dying." "That's heartbreaking, but Michael, you did what you could. You visited her and provided support. Now we need to focus on getting ready for our baby. I can't just abandon her now. She's going through the worst thing anyone could face, and I might be the only person who can help her process these feelings. I started to get a bad feeling about where this was going. What are you saying? I'm saying that I need to continue being there for Rachel. She needs ongoing support, not just a one-time visit. What does that mean, practically? It means more phone calls, maybe more visits. She's asked me to help her with some end-of-life planning, and she wants me to be there when she has important medical appointments. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Michael, I'm about to give birth to our child. I need you here, not flying around the country playing therapist to your ex-fiancé. You have your mother and sister to help you. Rachel doesn't have anyone. I'm your wife. Your pregnant wife. How can you even compare the two situations? I'm not comparing them. I'm trying to honor both commitments. Your only commitment should be to your family. Michael got angry then. So I'm supposed to turn my back on someone who's dying because it's inconvenient for you? It's not about convenience. It's about priorities. It's about the fact that you're choosing your ex-fiancé over your pregnant wife. I'm not choosing anyone over anyone. I'm trying to be there for both of you. But over the next week, it became clear that Michael was absolutely choosing Rachel over me. He made 2 more trips to California, missing our final ultrasound and our last childbirth class. He was on the phone with Rachel constantly, even during dinners and conversations with me. When I tried to talk to him about baby preparations, he seemed impatient and distracted. The breaking point came 1 week ago when Michael sat me down for what he called an important conversation. Anna, I need to be honest with you about something, he began, looking more serious than I'd ever seen him. What is it? Rachel has asked me to spend her remaining time with her. She doesn't have family nearby, and she's scared of going through this alone. She wants me to move to California temporarily so I can be there for her final months. I stared at him in complete shock. You want to move across the country to live with your ex-fiancé while I'm about to give birth? It's not like that. It's not about our past relationship. It's about being there for someone who's dying. It's exactly like that, Michael. You're talking about abandoning your pregnant wife to go play house with another woman. That's not what this is. Then what is it? Explain to me how this makes any sense. Rachel and I never got proper closure on our relationship. She left so suddenly, and there were so many unresolved feelings. Now that she's facing death, she wants to work through those feelings with me. She says she can't die peacefully knowing that she hurt me the way she did. And what about me? What about our baby? We're supposed to just wait here while you work through your feelings with another woman? This isn't about romantic feelings. This is about helping someone find peace before they die. Michael, listen to yourself. You're talking about leaving your family to be with your ex-fiancée during her final months. How is that not about romantic feelings? Because I love you, not her. But I owe her this closure. You don't owe her anything. You owe me and our unborn child your presence and support. Michael was quiet for a long moment, then said something that completely shattered my world. Anna, I think we should consider a temporary separation while I help Rachel through this. It would be better for everyone if there wasn't conflict at home while I'm trying to be there for her. A separation? While I'm 8 months pregnant? Just temporary. Until her situation is resolved. You mean until she dies? Yes. Once she's at peace, I can come back and we can focus on our family. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My husband was asking for a separation so he could spend another woman's final months with her, leaving me to give birth alone and raise our newborn child without him. Michael, if you leave me now, don't bother coming back. If you choose her over us, that choice is permanent. You're being unreasonable. This is a temporary situation. Rachel is dying. And I'm living. I'm your wife, and I'm carrying your child. If you can't see that we should be your priority, then you're not the man I thought I married. I never said you weren't my priority. But this is bigger than personal priorities. This is about basic human decency. Human decency is not abandoning your pregnant wife. I'm not abandoning you. I'm asking for understanding about an impossible situation. The situation is only impossible because you're making it impossible. You're choosing to prioritize your ex-fiancé's emotional needs over your own family's practical needs. So what do you want me to do? Let Rachel die alone and miserable? I want you to be here for the birth of your child. I want you to be present for your family. I want you to stop acting like your ex-fiancé's feelings are more important than mine. That's not what I'm doing. That's exactly what you're doing. The argument went on for hours, but Michael had already made his decision. He told me that he was going to file for a temporary separation so that he could be with Rachel without feeling guilty about neglecting me. He said he hoped I would understand eventually and that we could work things out after Rachel died. I told him that if he filed those papers, there would be nothing temporary about our separation. He filed them anyway. Update 1. It's been 1 week since Michael moved out, and I've discovered some devastating information about what's really been going on. My sister Emma, who works in healthcare administration, offered to help me understand Rachel's medical situation so I could better prepare for what Michael was going through. Emma has contacts at several major hospitals and cancer treatment centers, and she was able to make some discreet inquiries about Rachel's case. What she found out changed everything. "Anna, I need to tell you something, and you're not going to like it," Emma said when she came over yesterday. "What did you find out?" "I can't find any record of Rachel being treated for pancreatic cancer at any of the major cancer centers in California. I also checked with some smaller hospitals and oncology practices, and no one has heard of her. Maybe she's being treated somewhere you didn't check?" "It's possible, but Anna, pancreatic cancer is a very specific diagnosis that requires very specific treatment. Patients don't usually travel far from established cancer centers for care. If Rachel really had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, there would be records somewhere." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that either Rachel is lying about her diagnosis, or she's being treated somewhere that no one in the medical community knows about, which seems unlikely." I felt sick to my stomach. "You think she's faking cancer?" "I don't know. But I think you need to find out for sure before Michael throws away his marriage over this." That evening, I decided to do some research of my own. I started by looking at Rachel's social media accounts more carefully. What I found was disturbing. Over the past month, since she had supposedly been diagnosed with terminal cancer, Rachel had been posting photos of herself looking healthy and happy. She was at restaurants, beaches, hiking trails, and social events. She looked nothing like someone who was battling stage 4 cancer. In fact, she looked better than ever. I also noticed that in all of her posts about her cancer journey, she never mentioned specific treatments, doctors, or hospitals. Her posts were all very vague about her medical care, focusing instead on emotional and spiritual themes about living each day to the fullest and reconnecting with people who matter. But the most damning evidence came when I looked more closely at the timeline of her posts. Rachel had been posting actively throughout the month, including during the times when Michael said he was with her at important medical appointments. If she had really been at chemotherapy or doctor visits, why was she posting photos from tourist attractions and restaurants? I decided to confront Michael with this information. I called him and asked if we could meet to discuss something important about Rachel's situation. "Have you seen Rachel's social media lately?" I asked when we met at a coffee shop. "Not really." "Why?" "She's been posting a lot of photos. She looks remarkably healthy for someone with terminal cancer." Michael looked uncomfortable. People with cancer can have good days and bad days. Social media doesn't show the whole picture. "Michael, these aren't just good days. She looks completely healthy. She's hiking, going to parties, traveling. Does that seem consistent with stage 4 pancreatic cancer to you?" "I don't know what you're implying." "I'm implying that maybe Rachel isn't as sick as she claims to be." "That's a horrible thing to suggest about someone who's dying." "Is she dying, though? Have you actually seen any medical records? Have you been to any doctor appointments with her?" Michael hesitated. "Rachel is very private about her medical information." "Michael, you left your pregnant wife to be with this woman. You filed for separation from me because of her medical crisis. Don't you think you have a right to know the details of her condition?" "I trust Rachel to tell me the truth about her own health." "But what if she's not telling you the truth? Why would she lie about having cancer? That would be sick." "I don't know why she would lie. But I know that my sister couldn't find any record of her being treated anywhere, and I know that her social media activity doesn't match what you've told me about her condition." "Your sister was investigating Rachel's medical records? That's a violation of privacy. My sister was trying to help me understand what my husband was going through so I could be more supportive. I don't appreciate you digging into Rachel's personal business. And I don't appreciate you prioritizing your ex-fiancé's privacy over your wife's concerns." Michael got up to leave. "I'm not going to listen to conspiracy theories about Rachel's illness. She's dying, Anna. Whether you believe it or not doesn't change that fact." "Then prove it. Ask her to show you medical records. Ask to accompany her to a doctor's appointment. If she's really dying, she shouldn't have any problem providing evidence. I'm not going to interrogate a dying woman to satisfy your jealousy. This isn't about jealousy. This is about the fact that you're destroying our marriage based on a story that doesn't add up." Michael left without responding to my challenge. Update 2. 2 weeks have passed since I confronted Michael about Rachel's suspicious behavior, and the truth finally came out in the most unexpected way. Michael called me yesterday, crying and completely broken down. "Anna, I need to see you. Something terrible has happened." We met at the same coffee shop, and Michael looked like he hadn't slept in days. His eyes were red and he seemed like he was in shock. What happened? I asked. You were right about Rachel, he said quietly. She's not sick. How did you find out? I ran into her ex-roommate from college at the airport when I was flying back from my last visit. Sarah recognized me and asked how I was handling Rachel's situation. When I told her about the cancer diagnosis, Sarah looked confused. What did she say? She said that she had just seen Rachel the week before at a mutual friend's wedding, and Rachel seemed perfectly healthy. Sarah said Rachel had been posting about traveling and dating and starting a new business. Nothing about cancer or being sick. What did you do? I confronted Rachel directly. I asked her to show me medical records or let me come to a doctor's appointment with her. And? She broke down and admitted that she had lied about everything. There is no cancer. There is no terminal diagnosis. She made it all up. I sat there in stunned silence, trying to process what Michael was telling me. Why? I finally asked. Why would she do something like that? She said that she had been feeling regretful about how our relationship ended, and when she saw on social media that we were married and expecting a baby, she realized that she had made a mistake in letting me go. She said she was hoping that if I thought she was dying, I would come to her and we could reconnect. She faked cancer to try to win you back? Yes. She said she thought that if we spent time together while she was supposedly facing death, we would rediscover our connection and I would realize that I still loved her. And what about me? What about our baby? What was her plan for dealing with your existing family? Michael looked ashamed. She said she thought that if we reconnected emotionally, I would naturally want to leave you to be with her. She believed that our relationship was stronger than what we had built together. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Michael, this woman manipulated you into abandoning your pregnant wife by faking a terminal illness. She was willing to destroy our family to get what she wanted. I know. I can't believe I fell for it. How could you not have questioned any of this? How could you not have asked for proof before you threw away your marriage? I trusted her. I thought that no one would lie about something like cancer. But you were willing to trust her word over your wife's concerns? Michael was crying now. I screwed up, Anna. I screwed up so badly. I chose someone who was lying to me over someone who was telling me the truth. Yes, you did. Can you forgive me? Can we work this out? I looked at my husband, the father of my unborn child, and felt absolutely nothing. No love, no anger, no sadness. Just emptiness. Michael, you filed for divorce while I was 8 months pregnant because your ex-fiancée told you she was dying. You moved out of our home when I needed you most. You missed important medical appointments and preparations for our baby because you were helping someone else. But I didn't know she was lying. That's exactly the problem. You didn't bother to find out if she was lying. You took her word over mine. You prioritized her needs over mine. You chose her over us. I thought I was doing the right thing. The right thing was to be here for your wife and child. The right thing was to support your family during a crucial time. The right thing was to investigate before making life-changing decisions. I want to fix this. I want to come home. I want to be there for the birth. It's too late for that. What do you mean? I mean that you made your choice when you filed those divorce papers. You made your choice when you moved out. You made your choice when you decided that your ex-fiancé's supposed final months were more important than your pregnant wife. But I was manipulated. Rachel lied to me. And I told you the truth, but you didn't listen to me. You didn't trust me. You didn't value my input or my concerns. I can learn from this. I can do better. Michael, you can't unknow what you now know about yourself. You can't undo the fact that when faced with a choice between your wife and your ex-fiancé, you chose her. You can't undo the fact that you were willing to abandon your family based on someone else's word. So what are you saying? I'm saying that you gave me exactly what you asked for, a life without you in it. And I've discovered that I'm okay with that. Update 3. 3 weeks have passed since Michael's confession about Rachel's deception, and I've made some important decisions about my future. I gave birth to our daughter Maya 1 week ago, and she's absolutely perfect. Michael was not present for the birth, and honestly, I'm glad he wasn't there. The birth was peaceful and empowering. My mother and sister were with me, and we created exactly the supportive environment I needed. When Maya was born, I felt overwhelming love and protection for her, and I knew that I had made the right choice in not allowing Michael to return to our lives. Michael has been begging to see Maya and to discuss reconciliation, but I've refused both requests. My lawyer has advised me that I have no legal obligation to allow him visitation until we have a formal custody arrangement in place, and I'm in no hurry to facilitate that process. Anna, please, Michael said during our last phone conversation. I know I made terrible mistakes, but Maya is my daughter too. I want to be part of her life. You had 9 months to prepare to be part of her life, and you chose to spend that time with your ex-fiancé instead. I was being manipulated. You were making choices. And one of those choices was to prioritize another woman over your pregnant wife. I can't trust you to prioritize Maya's needs over your own impulses. I would never hurt Maya. You already have hurt her. You abandoned her before she was even born. You taught her, before she could even understand it, that your presence in her life is conditional and unreliable. That's not fair. What's not fair is that Maya will grow up knowing that her father chose his ex-fiancé over his family. What's not fair is that I had to go through pregnancy, birth, and early motherhood alone because my husband was too busy playing savior to someone who was lying to him. Michael started crying again. I just want a chance to make this right. You can't make this right, Michael. You can only move forward and hope to be better in your next relationship. There won't be a next relationship. I want you and Maya. Well, you should have thought about that before you filed for divorce. The divorce was finalized 2 weeks ago. Michael fought for joint custody, but the judge was not sympathetic to his situation. When Michael's lawyer tried to explain that he had been deceived by his ex-fiancée, the judge noted that Michael had still made the voluntary choice to abandon his pregnant wife based on inadequate information. Mr. Johnson, the judge said, your ex-fiancé's deception does not excuse your failure to prioritize your family during a critical time. The court finds that your judgment regarding your daughter's well-being is questionable. Michael was granted supervised visitation every other weekend, which I'm actually fine with. Maya deserves to know her father, but I want to make sure that their relationship is stable and that Michael can't make impulsive decisions that affect her well-being. I've also learned some interesting information about what happened to Rachel after her lies were exposed. According to mutual friends, Michael confronted her publicly about the fake cancer diagnosis, and word spread quickly through their social circles. Rachel has apparently become a social pariah, with friends and acquaintances cutting contact with her after learning about her manipulation. She's also been dealing with legal consequences. Michael consulted with a lawyer about pursuing fraud charges, since Rachel's lies had caused him financial losses from travel and missed work. While he ultimately decided not to press charges, the threat of legal action has apparently caused Rachel significant stress. Most importantly, I've discovered that I'm actually happier without Michael in my life. The months of conflict over Rachel's situation had been incredibly stressful, and I hadn't realized how much anxiety I was carrying about Michael's priorities and loyalty. Now that I'm on my own, I feel peaceful and confident about my ability to care for Maya and build a good life for us. Final update. 6 months have passed since Maya was born, and I wanted to provide a final update on how everything has resolved. Maya is thriving, she's a happy, healthy baby who brings joy to everyone who meets her. I've settled into a routine as a single mother, and while it's challenging, it's also deeply rewarding. Michael's supervised visits with Maya have been going well, and I can see that he genuinely loves her and is trying to be a good father during their time together. However, his attempts to reconcile with me have continued, and I've had to be very clear about my boundaries. I've been in therapy, Michael told me during one of our conversations about Maya's schedule. I'm learning about how I was manipulated and how to recognize those patterns in the future. That's good for you, Michael. I hope therapy helps you be better in future relationships. I don't want future relationships. I want to rebuild our family. That's not going to happen. Why not? I understand now that I was wrong. I understand that I made terrible decisions. I'm working to become a better person. Michael, the problem isn't just that you made bad decisions. The problem is what those decisions revealed about your character and priorities. What do you mean? I mean that when faced with a crisis, your instinct was to abandon your family. When your ex-fiancée told you she was dying, you didn't think about your pregnant wife or unborn child. You didn't consider the impact of your choices on us. You just acted on your own emotional impulses. But I've learned from that. Maybe you have. But I can't take the risk that you haven't. I can't spend my life wondering if the next crisis will cause you to abandon Maya and me again. There won't be a next crisis like that. There will be other crises, Michael. There will be job losses, family emergencies, health scares, financial problems. Life is full of challenges. And I need to know that my partner will face those challenges with me, not run away to deal with them somewhere else. I would never run away again. You can't promise that, because you didn't think you would run away the first time. You thought you were doing the right thing when you chose Rachel over us. Michael was quiet for a long moment. So there's nothing I can do to earn back your trust? I think the question isn't whether you can earn back my trust. The question is whether I want you to. And the answer is no. I've built a good life for Maya and myself. We're happy and stable and surrounded by people who prioritize us. I don't want to go back to feeling like I have to compete for my husband's attention and loyalty. Michael accepted my decision with more grace than I expected. He asked if we could maintain a friendly co-parenting relationship for Maya's sake, and I agreed to that. We're not friends, but we're civil and focused on what's best for our daughter. I've started dating someone new, a single father who understands the challenges of parenting and has never once suggested that his ex-wife's needs should take priority over his children's well-being. When I told him about what happened with Michael and Rachel, his response was immediate disbelief that any father would abandon his pregnant wife. "I can't imagine making that choice," he said. "When my ex-wife and I were going through our divorce, my only concern was making sure my kids felt secure and loved. I can't understand prioritizing anyone else over your family during a time like that." That's what a healthy response looks like, someone who instinctively understands that family comes first, especially during vulnerable times. People sometimes ask me if I regret not giving Michael another chance, especially since he was technically a victim of Rachel's manipulation. The answer is always no. Michael wasn't manipulated into filing for divorce, he made that choice himself. He wasn't manipulated into missing important appointments and preparations for Maya's birth, he chose to prioritize Rachel's needs over mine. Rachel may have lied about having cancer, but Michael told the truth about his priorities when he chose to be with her instead of me. He showed me exactly who he was when faced with a difficult situation, and I believed him. The most important lesson I've learned from this experience is that love isn't enough to sustain a relationship if trust and loyalty aren't also present. Michael may have loved me, but he didn't prioritize me when it mattered most. He may have wanted our family, but he wasn't willing to sacrifice for it when sacrifice was required. Maya deserves to see me in relationships where I'm valued and prioritized, not relationships where I have to fight for basic consideration. She deserves to learn that love means showing up consistently, not just when it's convenient or emotionally satisfying. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your family is to protect them from people who claim to love them but don't know how to put that love into action. Michael gave me the gift of showing me his true priorities before Maya was old enough to be hurt by them. For that, I'm actually grateful.